And this is what a lot of young people do, Derek, and this is dead wrong, and it's going to create a horrible culture. I want to be rich. If that's your why, it's really hard to get people on board with that to help you make sure that you become rich. And so some people figure that out, and then they kind of keep that quiet, so they don't tell people, and then they make up something fluffy over there. But everybody can tell that you're faking it.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of the 8-Figure Agency Show, where a successful entrepreneur and a soon-to-be successful entrepreneur help you build an 8-figure agency by documenting our successes and failures. I have said that intro, I think like 23 times now, and I'm telling you, when I sit in front of this mic and put on this camera, Gary, it never gets old. It fires me up every time.
Every time. And today is a special one because we're going to actually outline 3 things that is going to help you avoid massive chaos inside of your company as you grow. And we're going to talk about how to hire properly. Second is how to get alignment inside of your company. And lastly, and I think the biggest one, is how to be single-minded. I think this is the biggest thing that kills agencies and causes problems. And I got a ton of stories around that. So how do you want us to kick off today?
Yeah, this is going to be a super valuable episode. Absolutely. And basically, for those of you listening, for just some brief added context, anyone starting or currently running their agency, these next 3 things are going to help you not make some massive mistakes, right? So I'll just, kick things off here by setting the stage for this first topic here. When it comes to running an agency, and I'm experiencing this problem firsthand, and this would tie in really well. As we're growing and as we're scaling, we have to hire new team members every time we add new clients. And it's getting really difficult to grow and scale because it's almost like every time we add a client, we have to add a team member, and we're never able to find that balance. So what does it entail to find that balance, and how do you make the right hires, balancing culture and skill?
Yeah, so here's what happened. So I'm just going to tell you what I did wrong, okay? So when I was hiring people, I'm just like, can you do the job? That's all I care about. I don't care if you have a criminal record or you can't pass a drug test. Like, I don't care. Just I want to hire somebody that can do the job. But there's a problem with that. So let's say that you do get a killer, and that's just like this person can do an amazing job inside of your company. That doesn't actually solve your problem, because as you grow, you're going to be able to give that person less attention, Derek, and you're going to be running to the next person and the next person and the next person, and you don't have managers and leaders all set up yet. So you have to, right now, you have to get people that are culturally aligned. And getting people that are culturally aligned are actually more important than people that are going to come in and be skillful that you need. And here's why. If you get all the skilled people, but everybody doesn't like working with each other, everybody's causing drama, everybody's not on the same page and rowing in the same direction, you're going to have a way bigger headache than I just need to hire one person.
So let's go a little deeper into that, right? So when you say that, are you saying hire strictly for culture? I don't think that's what you're saying.
No,
but like, how do you
hire
make
for
that
culture
distinction?
first before skill, though. So everybody puts skill first, and then it's kind of like, oh, are you culturally aligned with us? And it's kind of like, yeah, we hope so, right? We hope this one's a good one. But what you need to do is you actually need to hire for culture first. So, of course, we want the person with the skill set. But if there's a person that has a high skill set and isn't a culture alignment, and another person who is a little bit of a lower skill set but is a culture alignment, you're going to take the culture person over the skill set person.
No, that's huge. So, Gary, you recently told me about a little story about an agency and, about how they had a lot of team members, a lot more than you, and they were doing way less.
So I was talking to a company. They reached out to me. They were in a marketing agency, and they were doing about half as much as us in MRR. Okay, so and then they asked me, how many team members do you have? And I told them, and they said, how are you doing that with so few team members? We have more team members than you, and we're doing half the revenue that you are. How are you doing that? And I started scratching my head, Derek, and going, how am I doing that, right? Like, that doesn't make sense. But then I asked him, like, what are you doing culturally? Like, tell me about the culture of your company. He's like, we're not really doing anything. That's it. A culture, like, Derek, I would rather take me and you and have us culturally aligned and have a company with just us two that we're on the same page, rowing in the same direction and believe to have the same values and the same vision than 20 people who are not, that are rowing in opposite directions. I would take that all day long. It's so. Think about sports. Sports is a perfect analogy, right? Think about like the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, the Brooklyn Nets had James Harden, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. On 2K, you're crushing it. Like, you win every single game on 2K. But in real life, they don't win. Why?
They're not aligned.
They're not aligned. There's not a culture alignment there. But then you take the Golden State Warriors, who have an aging Steph Curry, who have Klay Thompson coming off an injury, Draymond Green, who's just really a role player, and then have a bunch of other people who fit in their spot, Jordan Poole, and all these other people who fit in their spots and do their job. And guess what they do? They win championships. Why? The other team has better talent. Way better talent. Like, but exponentially more talent than the Golden State Warriors. Like, talent-wise, I would take the Nets. But what did the Warriors do really well? They figured out how to play with each other, and they have the same vision and the same values, and they're rowing in the same direction. And because of that, they win, and they win a lot, and they win at a high level. And it's the same thing for a company. I'd rather have a couple people rowing in the same direction than a bunch of people not rowing in the same direction.
So number one, culture, right? When you're making hires, don't make the mistake of hiring people who are really good at the skill, but who aren't culture fits, because that'll cause more problems. It'll cause drama on the team. It'll actually reduce the capability and work capacity of your team members without you even realizing it. Honestly, it's like a silent killer from within your team, because
100%.
It like really hurt you from the back.
Or even worse, they'll cause drama and then scare your good team members away that are culturally aligned. Because when you let somebody in who's not culturally aligned, they're going to scare away the people who are culturally aligned, because they're like, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. I've been experiencing a lot of this firsthand. I mean, this was always the point of the show. It's crazy to me the amount of times my mind is blown. And I say this, but I don't think I say it enough. Every episode, like at least once per episode, like you say something that's just like, wow. It's because, and to those listening, probably feel the same way. Like, we're going through this. All of us are. Like, I think, Gary, you yourself kind of go through it sometimes as well.
I'm going through it right now. Yeah, no.
You go through the same bridges, no matter how many times you've been through it, but, you keep crossing that same bridge. But the second thing, and you kind of went in there. We didn't
really quickly, let's talk about values and vision real quick. So what is the vision of your company? If you don't know the vision of your company, then nobody else knows the vision of your company. Okay? So you have to have a vision. And tie in a why. I think that's really key. Tie in why you have that vision. If your vision, and this is what a lot of young people do, Derek, and this is dead wrong, and it's going to create a horrible culture. I want to be rich. If that's your why, it's really hard to get people on board with that to help you make sure that you become rich. And so some people figure that out, and then they kind of keep that quiet, so they don't tell people, and then they make up something fluffy over there. But everybody can tell that you're faking it. So get really clear on what your vision is. What are you trying to accomplish? And then get a why behind it. Why are you doing what you're doing? And then from there, you want values that you're unwilling to compromise on, that if people break them, you'll fire them.
I want to take a moment and pause on that, because I've experienced this myself, and I've spoken to countless of people. Honestly, since we started this show, I've had a lot of people hit me up, younger people. I want to start my agency. And I always ask them why, and they're like, I want to make money. And when I ask them, like, okay, and they struggle with giving that answer. And the reason I'm even pausing on this is because I struggled, and still do often sometimes. I question my why with like, I go back to like money. Like, okay, why am I doing this? And the first answer is like, okay, I'm making money. But okay, and then what? Like, it's great. Like, the number in the bank account changed. Okay, yeah, but so what? What do you do with it? What advice would you share? Like, how does somebody realize what their true why actually is? And especially if they're circling back to money, how do you go past that?
Yeah, I wish I could answer it. You have to figure that out for yourself. I can't tell you why you do what you do. And if you are really motivated by money and that's it, then you'll do crazy stuff that is not good, and it'll end really poorly for you. It's really painful just to be money focused. For me, what I figured out, and it took us time to develop it, and it iterated and reiterated, always growing. That's my why. I have to always be growing. And here's the thing about me, Derek. If everything shut down right now and I lost everything, I'd just go start another business, and I would start growing that. And then if I sold that one, I would just start another one. I have to always be growing something. I have to. And that's our company why. And as long as the company's growing, then I'm having fun.
On a side note, because you just brought something up that I got to bring up as well here. You just mentioned, like, if I sold this company, if I went and started something new, I would just start something new and then, go from there. What is your opinion on this? I was speaking recently to a mutual acquaintance of ours, and I was like, listen, if I lost everything, the person that I was a year ago, I don't think would have had this. I know wouldn't have had the skill set to do what I'm doing now. I'm a completely different person. So I know that if I lost everything, I'd be able to start a company, whatever it is I'm doing, and make 10,000 a month in like 7 days. Like I can know that for a fact. Like I just have the
It's
skill
not
set to do
hard.
it.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, that's not hard. That's a small bar to hit, right?
See, that's a good perspective shift right there. Because a lot of people listening to this, especially if they haven't started yet, they're like 10,000 a month, small
That's
bar
one
to
client.
hit.
It's 1 or 2 clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
That's
that's
10
huge.
phone calls, 20
Gary,
phone calls.
you blew a lot of people's minds right there. And I'm going to like casually go past it so that I can sit with people for a minute. But you mentioned the second thing here a little earlier in the call regarding alignment, right? And you explained how, the basketball analogy. How do you get your team aligned?
The larger you are, the harder it is to get people aligned. So alignment is communication. So here's where entrepreneurs fail. I assume that we're all aligned. Yeah, no, we know. I told them one time. You're not aligned. You're not aligned with your team at all. They think something totally different than what you think. So there's a couple different ways that you can ensure alignment. Number one is, what is the outcome that you expect from them? So how many videos do you want them to edit? How many sales calls do you want them making? How many closes do you want them making? That helps you get instant alignment, right? But then from there, there's all the strategies and the nuances and all those kind of things. And the only way, Derek, to get that is good old-fashioned communication. You and I went through this already, like where I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I continue to promote the Gary Bird brand, but then also make sure that spills over into SMC? And I had to ask, and I re-asked, and I reframed it and asked again. And it was like, well, try that. And I was like, no, that's not exactly what I mean. And we kept going back and forth. Why? Because we were misaligned.
Yep.
Right? So we had to get alignment so we understood each other. So the words that I was saying meant the same thing that you're hearing, and the words that you're saying was the same thing I was hearing. So misalignment is one of the biggest things that slows a company down. And we assume that we're all aligned, and we're not. We're just not.
Tactically speaking, right? Communication's the answer, but what would be some quick advice to people? Like, how do you communicate better? Is there like a strategy?
No,
to
it's literally hopping on a meeting and talking through it. So we have a meeting right now that we're doing, that we're literally taking our projects that we're working on in the company, the leaders, and we're discussing them, and we're ensuring that we're all aligned on them, and then we're rediscussing them and saying, are we still aligned on these? Wow. Are these still the priorities? Is this still the outcomes that we're looking for? And we're constantly resetting that. Every week we spend an hour on that.
Wow. That sounds boring, but very important.
It's very boring. It's painful. It's very painful. Entrepreneurs don't like that, Derek, right? We would rather just run fast and go do the cool stuff. And now that's hero mode, right? Like, we love to be the hero because we get the dopamine hit. When you go out and you chase down new accounts, dopamine hit. Boom. Even me, when I speak at an event, and I'm like, I just got 10 leads. Let's go. Dopamine hit, right? I just looked at some of our sales numbers that we said we just signed up $1 million of ARR. $1 million just in the last 4 weeks. Yeah, which is great, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Dopamine hit. Boom. Yay. And it wasn't me, Derek. Yeah, I didn't do it. Somebody else did it. So it's even more bigger dopamine
that's
hit, right?
Huge.
Yeah.
That's huge,
right?
Well done.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? And I wasn't the one who did it either. The person that reported to me is the one that did it. And so I'm just like so proud of them, and it's awesome. But guess what? We still got to get aligned. We still have to find that alignment. We still have to talk. We still have to say, okay, are we going to change this? Or do we want more of this, less of this? Do we want more of that? And then I said, oh, we got to tweak this. And she was like, oh, that's not good because that might mess up someone's confidence, or that might not be able to get us as many this. Like, constantly communication. Communication is how you get alignment.
Yeah, my initial reaction, and first of all, because we can't just brush past it, congratulations, well done to that team member, because that is awesome. Not only did another person do it, but $1 million client, like that's just like, well done, hats off. But it hit me hard because my initial reaction is like, man, that sounds boring. And I'm going through this every day, like I really am, because I'm basically going consistently, like week over week. On one day I'm in hero mode, and then the next day, what's the other one called? Hero mode and what else?
Hero mode, and then what you want to do is get out of hero mode. And you want to get into facilitating.
Facilitating, yeah. That's
you want to facilitate others to be heroes.
Yeah.
So that's what I just explained to you. Is like, cool, finally, right? It took me. I started this journey over a year ago. That I was like, hey, I'm going to hire this person, and we're going to build out a sales team. We've gone through multiple people, multiple structures. We finally now, just in the last 4 weeks, everything's working. And so now I facilitated that. I wasn't the hero in it.
I have to bring something up here because it's very similar to this. It's just not worth $1 million. So I have a BDR on the team who's been with us for 7 months. Shout out. He knows who he is if he's listening. No major deals coming to us for 7 months. We were at the verge of potentially parting ways. Last Friday, we finally got a lead that closed, and we were both beyond happy. So the similar situation, we've spent months and a lot of money building this out. Finally, I went from bringing us all the deals to somebody actually brought us a lead, brought us a deal, proved that I don't have to be manually sending messages myself anymore. So, I mean, that's huge.
Well, that's huge. So let's talk through that, Derek. So before, you had to be the hero and send the messages, which gave you positive feedback loops or dopamine hits.
Absolutely.
Yay, I got it. I got another one. The company's growing. And that's a positive feedback loop that you created for yourself. And that's awesome, right? That's actually what made you start your business. Right? Without that killer instinct inside of you, you would have never started. You would have never built an agency. However, now that exact instinct is what's going to kill your business. So what you have to now shift, right? And turn that off and say, okay, I'm not going to get those dopamine hits anymore. My dopamine hits are going to come from my BDR winning. And I am going to help my BDR win. And I'm going to facilitate. I'm going to set them up to be amazing. And they're going to win, and they're going to win on a whole nother level, and they're going to be the superhero. And when you can, but to do that, Derek, you have to get aligned with them. That's why we're talking about this. You have to have alignment with them. How do I get alignment with them? Constant communication and iterating and reiterating and reiterating and reiterating over and over and over and over again. And then also allowing them to fail, letting them that was the wrong way to do it. Good. Now we know that's not the way to do it. Let's move on to the next one. So you have to have all of that. And again, your killer instinct that you had before is trying to stop you from letting all that happen, where you want to go in and save the day and you want to go in and do it. And we all fight that. Everybody fights that in every business. But you have to overcome that if you really want to grow. You have to figure that out.
This episode's a heavy hitter for me. It's hitting me really hard because you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It is way more rewarding, like you said, to have that team member become that hero. And when I had the contract come in and I messaged him, I was like, dude, you did it. I couldn't even, but I was like, it works. And you did it. It's a great feeling. It's so much more rewarding.
It's way bigger, right? Than the little ones. It's a bigger dopamine hit, but here's the difference. The little sales wins that you were getting before were small and constant. Now you're getting them sometimes months in between, right? You're not getting it for 2 or 3 months. And you're getting fail after fail after fail. And then finally you get it and it's really big. Yep. Now you know what that tastes like. And that's actually, I kind of turned this corner for me. So I became really good at dental marketing, amazing at dental marketing. Then I was like, okay, cool. That means now I can know how to grow an agency. Wrong. Now I have to learn how to be an entrepreneur. How do you get the right budgets? How do you make sure you hire people at the right salaries? That's a whole nother skill set.
Yeah.
Whole nother skill set. And then I was like, see, now I know how to run an agency because I'm a really good dental marketer and I figured this entrepreneur thing out. Wrong. Now you have to learn how to be a leader, which is totally different. Being an entrepreneur has nothing to do with being a leader. That's another skill set that you have to learn. So there's 3 stages to growing a business and you have to learn them in order. You don't get to skip a step. There's no skipping. You have to first become the master at the thing. Then you become a master at being an entrepreneur. And then you become a master at being a leader. And if you try to skip any of those or you try to just pretend like being a great at dental marketing means you're a great leader, that's wrong. They have nothing to do with each other.
And this goes right back to what we brought up at the beginning of the episode. All of these things that you cannot skip, you have to go through and learn. Even if you start from ground zero, those things actually stick with you. So while that company might not, those skill sets are truly, truly invaluable. I always knew that I was going to have my own company, but now that I'm actually in the weeds of this, really in it, I didn't realize how much I'd actually be learning and how hard it really would be. It really is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It takes a physical, mental toll on my body. I'm being honest, and knowing that people have gone through it and are going through it with me is a very comforting, reassuring thing. And it's more
super
so reassuring.
Hard, it's very stressful.
It's very hard, very stressful. But
here's the fun part. Here's the best part. Everybody online pretends like it's super easy.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, are you kidding me? Everybody. Nobody talks about it.
We're blowing
like
up,
this.
And it's super easy. I did it in 2 months. I grew my agency, or I grew my business. It was easy.
They only show the highlights. They don't show that the time when you're behind on work and a client's leaving, or when your biggest client leaves, or when your biggest
It drives me nuts,
leaves.
bro. It drives me nuts
Crazy.
when I hear people not to be honest about that. Like just to sell you a product, right?
Well, it's a good thing we have this show. So if you're listening right now, definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on all socials, and continue listening because we've got a banger last point here, Gary. I'll let you take it away with point number 3.
Yeah, so the last one, you got to be single-minded.
Oh, wait.
Okay, so
not be single-minded or got to be single-minded?
Got to be single-minded.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So let me explain what I mean by that. I was talking to a gentleman that knows this agency. They just sold. And he went through the due diligence process about this agency, right? And so they were talking through, and they were looking at everything. It was a SaaS agency, okay? So they didn't sell for as much as they should have. And I was shocked. I was like, they got all this revenue. They only sold for that much. I was like, what happened? And they said, well, as we went through the due diligence process, they were all over the place. They were trying to be everything to everybody. They had all these projects and they had money to do it, but they just spread way too thin. And we're going to have to come in, and we couldn't give them the money that we wanted because we have to come in and cut all the fat off and make them singular-minded again so that way they can grow, because you can't do all things well. And so what has served me well, Derek, really well in the agency world, is just keep narrowing down on what is the product that I'm actually selling and who am I selling it to. And every time I narrow that down, we just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And any time that we try to break out of that, because multiple times, Derek, you know how many times I've had people come to me and go, hey, I got a 20 location optometry office that will spend $500,000 a month with you right now. Or I have somebody just came to me and they said, hearing aids. I have access to all the hearing aid reps in the United States, and we're jumping into this vertical. You want to jump in and be the marketer? Like, there's not a lot of big marketing companies in the hearing aid space. You know how bad I want to do that, Derek? So bad. Like, I want to do it so bad. Like, oh, absolutely. I could double the business overnight. You know what it would do? It would really slow us down from growing.
Yeah.
And so you have to get laser focused. And then this is the funny part. Again, this is the funny part of business, because it's the opposite that we want to do as entrepreneurs. When we start way too wide. And it's like, no, we got to start wide. We got to service all these people. The market's too small, blah, 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 blah. And we don't narrow down. And we should just continually be narrowing down and focusing. And then once that hits, double down, triple down, quadruple down until it stops working. Then when it stops working, it's like, cool, now we can add other stuff, other verticals, all that kind of stuff. But I'm so determined to stay singular minded until I totally knock it all out of the park that I just can't grow anymore in it and it's saturated. Then I'll move over to another vertical.
You know, for those who are return listeners, they're probably noticing a reoccurring theme, and we bring this up in almost every single episode, and it's niching down. I mean, every episode, and it's a reoccurring theme at this point, and I really hope that it's driving home from people because, and I can't really speak from experience yet. I'm not that far enough along, but I can definitely say that if Gary's saying it in nearly every single episode, you should probably take note of it.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, you got to niche down. I make a ton of content around this. This is like
nothing more to be said on that.
Yeah, people who are like, no, I want to go really wide. The only way you should really be going wide is if, and we've talked about this, we've done multiple episodes on this, is if one, you have a very niche service that you're offering, so you're offering it to everybody, but the service itself is niche. Like we only do LinkedIn growth. That would be a cool niche to do. We do it for all businesses, but it's only on LinkedIn. Like that's it. That'd be a cool niche. Or you're just starting and you just don't know. Like you don't know who you want to serve yet. So you just say yes to everybody until you figure out what your niche is going to be. Those are the only ways that I wouldn't niche down.
Yeah, just niche down on product or service, or niche down on exactly who you're serving if you're doing a wider offering of products or services. Listen, quick recap, because this was a very valuable episode. Bottom line, don't just hire for skill. Make sure it's a good culture fit. If you don't hire for a good culture fit, it's not going to go well. It's going to be, a really bad thing from the inside out, which is not good for your company. Lots of drama. The second thing you brought up, Gary, is alignment. Even if you have a good culture fit and a decent skill hire, if you're not aligned and you guys are not rowing in the same direction, you're going to be pulling each other apart to opposite directions, and you're not going to grow as fast. You're going to hold everybody back. So you got to be aligned. And the last thing is to make sure that you are being single-minded, meaning niche down.
100%.
Perfect.
If you've listened this far, you're a crazy psycho. Please follow me on Instagram and buy my NFT.
Yes, buy the NFT, guys. Buy the NFT.
I saw somebody do a video yesterday. They were like, they were like, Gary Vee's a scam. And I was like, no, just buy his NFT. So.
That is throwing some shade there. But hey, listen.
No, I'm not trying to throw shade. He's built an amazing marketing agency.
Did you buy his NFT?
No. Absolutely not.
Listen,
I go garage shopping and make money that way though.
Do you now?
No.
Do you?
I
know. I could tell. I could tell you're joking. Listen, I've done it before. There's definitely money to be made, but you know, it's what he. I gotta say, with that thing, he's accurate. Like you can make good money flipping it. I've done it. My parents have done it, but you know. It is a lot of work, and it's funny to see a CEO of like a 9-figure company garage sailing in like the suburbs of New Jersey, and he's like, "I love it so much." I'm like, "Do you though?" I don't know. Like, okay, but yeah. I mean, listen, if you guys aren't following Gary on Instagram, definitely go follow him because he makes the show happen. Without his knowledge and expertise, we wouldn't be here. Honestly,
well, without you editing it, you've been killing it, bro. Hopefully, it's bringing you some clients because our shorts have been blowing up on YouTube.
Shorts been doing well, and I was going
to talk about that. Like, we should do an episode about like strategy on how to get YouTube shorts. I know it's like, oh yeah, I know that's easy, but to other people it's not easy, right? So I think we should definitely do
a lot of misconceptions around that, and the biggest one is that people think they need 1 million views to do something successfully, and I think we're a really good example of breaking that barrier. I think all of your content's a huge example of that. Like if you reach the right person at the right time, even if a video has, and like this is literally true for us, like 10 views, the right person seeing it is huge. It's more valuable than 100 people seeing it, 1,000 people seeing it. But with that said, if you guys aren't following Gary on Instagram, his recent reels have been blowing up. Go follow him for sure. And yeah, if you're listening this far, leave us a comment on the YouTube video, what you guys want to see us talk about next. Leave us a review if you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I recently read the Apple Podcast reviews, and they almost brought a tear to my eye. I don't know if you've read them, Gary, but they were very supportive reviews, very motivating.
Oh, on what? What do they review?
Apple
on?
Podcasts. Apple Podcasts.
Let's go.
Yeah, I think you should check them out. You should read some of them. But guys, thank you so much for being here with us this week. We will catch you guys in the next episode. Peace out, everybody.